What's up, guys? Today we're going to be going over all the prismatic abilities on each 3 characters. And this will be my second video of 5, getting myself up to speed for the final shape, and hopefully maybe some of you too. In this video, not only are we really going over the abilities, but one of the best builds I see for each character, and the build I'm going to be going with once I start playing prismatic with that character when the final shape comes out. And unfortunately, I'm not one of the cool kids that got to play early, so I'm just going over what I can see and what I've seen so far. But I do think I've kind of cooked quite a bit with these 3 builds. And let's go ahead and begin. Starting off with the Hunter Prismatic subclass. This is just straight handpicked, let's be honest. I think this subclass will be one of the best subclasses of all time. I think a lot of people will be playing Hunter going forward. So looking at all the abilities, starting off with Arc, we have a choice between Storm's Edge, the new super. Then we have Combination Blow, a melee that stacks up to ×3. Then we have Arc Bolt Grenade. And finally, Ascension, a new aspect. Then for Solar, we have Golden Gun, the Marksman version. Then we have the Acrobat's Dodge. Then we have Knife Trick, Swarm Grenade, and Gunpowder Gamble. Then for Stasis, we have Silence and Squall, Withering Blade, Dusk-Filled Grenade, and Winter's Shroud. Then for Strain, we have Silk Strike, Threaded Spike, Grapple, and Threaded Spectre. Then for Void, we have Shadow Shot Deadfall. Then we have Snare Bomb, Magnetic Grenade, and finally Stylish Executioner. So looking at the build I'm going to be going for, I think this one, a lot of people will come to the same conclusion. I think it's pretty straightforward. So looking at what I'm going to be using on Hunter right off the bat, including fragments. First off, we're going to have Golden Gun, obviously the best DPS super in the game. And we have Gambler's Dodge, then whatever jump you want. I use Triple Jump. And we have Combination Blow for the ×3 melee buff. Along with every single time we get a melee kill, we'll get our full dodge back, feeding into Gambler's Dodge, which will give us our melee back. Then we have Grapple for grapple melee. Then we have Stylish Executioner, which works for any subclass debuff, which means we pair that with Winter's Shroud, which will make it so when we dodge near enemies, they will get slowed, which is a debuff. Then when we melee them to proc Combination Blow stacks, we will go invisible and get a higher stack of Combination Blow. And once we have ×3, not only will our base melee be very strong, we also have grapple melee for even more damage. And with this build, I'll be using, kind of like what I do on Titan currently, I'll be using the Rufus with Demo. Then I'll have a 1-2 punch shotgun, and more likely just a tractor cannon. And where this build becomes even stronger is with the fragments. So between people's videos and what they've already shown us, we have access to all 21. So going over the ones I'll be using with this build, the first will be Bravery, so that when we defeat targets with our powered melees, we'll get Unraveling Rounds for our strand weapons for the Rufus. Then I have Dawn, where our powered melee hits will make us radiant, and powered melee final blows will make all of our allies nearby radiant also. Then we have Courage, where your light abilities deal increased damage to targets afflicted by darkness debuffs. I'm really curious of how big this buff is, because we'll just be slowing everything nearby with the Winter's Dodge. And yeah, this could get out of hand pretty quickly. Then I have Balance, where rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage grants grenade energy. So once we get a melee kill, we'll have unraveling rounds for our Rufus, go crazy with that for a second, and get a lot of grenade energy back, along with having demo on the weapon. We should be getting our grapple back very, very quick. And finally, last one is Blessing, where melee final blows start health regeneration, and while transcendent, it will also work for nearby allies. I just can't wait to play this build. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be basically what Strand Titan is currently, but just better. You're gonna go invisible, you're gonna be slowing stuff, you're gonna be getting even higher damage because of combination blow times 3 is higher than that of Banner of War. And also with the Courage fragment, that can make it even higher. And yeah, I just foresee this being one of the best builds maybe the game has ever seen. And moving on to Titan, the second one I'm super excited to play with. So starting off with the abilities for Void, we have the new super Twilight Arsenal. Then we have Shield Throw, Suppressor Grenade, and Unbreakable. Then for Arc, we have Thunder Crash, Thruster, Thunderclap, Pulse Grenade, and Knockout. Then for Strand, we have Blade Fury, Frenzied Blade, Jackal Grenade, and Dringer's Lash. And for Solar, we have Hammer of Soul, Hammer Strike, Thermite Grenade, and Consecration. And finally, for Stasis, we have Glacial Quake, Shiver Strike, Glacier Grenade, and Diamond Lance. So for this build, I am building around Thunderclap and the exotic gauntlets, the Point Contact Cannon Brace. When that exotic first came out with Thunderclap, I really liked that build. And with Strand Titan being nerfed and not only Thunderclap but also Knockout being buffed, I am really looking forward to using this build again. And I think with the way these fragments work and our armor mods, I think it's going to be like a near infinite combo of the Thunderclap. The second you use it, you will be fully charged again. So going over that build, for the supers, I'm not quite sure which one I'll use. It might come down to maybe like which one helps fragments more, because some of the fragments are like dependent on your super. But at least maybe the Void one if it's good. Thunder Crash is obviously always good for DPS. Blade Fury is kind of all around good. Maybe not as good with Banner of War. So I'm not sure which super. You could probably use any of them that you like. Then for the Barricade, I'm not sure between Rally for reload speed or Thruster, just depending on the way Thruster works with one of the aspects. If it does work well, probably Thruster because it has the lowest cooldown. Then whatever jump you want, I use Strafe. Then we have Thunderclap. Then we have the Shackle Grenade, Knockout. Then our second aspect will be Dringer's Lash. And the whole idea of this build is just use Thunderclap over and over again. And while we're doing that, we'll have Knockout procced. And we should be getting our Barricade back very quickly and take advantage of the Suspend with Dringer's Lash. And the weapons I'll be using on this build, I'm not sure quite yet, but more likely Monte Carlo, whatever special you want, and kind of whatever heavy you want. And looking at the fragments to make this build all come together, first with Dawn for becoming Radiant. And we have Balance to help get our melee back instantly. It says rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy. And so assuming that counts for the Thunderclap itself being Arc. So just using the Thunderclap should give a huge chunk of it back because we're getting obviously rapid kills with a light damage. So that could really feed into like the continuous infinite loop. Then I have Courage, which I've used in the Hunter build also. For your light abilities, they will increase damage to targets afflicted by darkness debuffs, which I'm assuming is Suspend, which is where our Dringer's Lash aspect comes into play, where we can use our Barricade to suspend targets, let's say a champion or whatever, and then use our Thunderclap and do a lot more damage. And then we have Hope, because with Dawn we'll constantly be Radiant, and with Hope, while you have an elemental buff, Radiant, your class ability regenerates more quickly. And finally, that brings me back to Blessing, where melee final blows will start the health regeneration to help keep us alive, being up close and personal. And finally, with the Warlock Prismatic subclass, starting off with Solar, we have the new Super, Song of Flame. Then we have Phoenix Dive, Incinerator Snap, Killing Grenade, and Helion. Then for Void, we have Nova Bomb Cataclysm. Then we have Blink, Pocket Singularity, Vortex Grenade, Feed the Void, and for Arc, we have Storm Trance, Chain Lightning, Storm Grenade, and Lightning Surge. Then for Stasis, we have Winter's Wrath, Penumbral Blast, Cold Snap Grenade, and Bleak Watcher. And for Strand, we have Needle Storm, Arcane Needle, Whirling Grenade, and Weaver's Call. And out of the 3 characters, this is the one subclass that I'm not quite sure exactly where I want to start. There's nothing that really stands out to me. I think there's a few or several builds you could obviously do, along with all the characters, that's true. But I don't think there's anything that's like, just looks way better than everything else for Warlock. And honestly, I'm not sure if they just hate Warlocks, but I just feel like they just purposely didn't give us the best stuff Warlock has to offer. While with Hunter, it's like they literally handpicked the best thing from every category. It doesn't really quite make sense to me, but it is what it is. So the Warlock build I'll probably start with, not quite sure if it'll be like the first one I upload, because once I get my hands on the actual subclass, I'm sure something will come that feels better. But just starting off, I have Song of Flame. I think this super looks really cool. Then we have Phoenix Dive, and then I have Burst Glide. Then I have the Snap Melee, Vortex Grenade, Feed the Void, and Bleak Watcher. And if you've been watching my channel for a long time, since like Beyond Light, I loved Bleak Watcher when it first came out, and I obviously love Devour. So pairing those 2 things together will be very cool. And the whole idea behind this build is you get into a room, you throw down a Bleak Watcher turret, and that will slow/freeze everything in the room slowly over time. Then once you have that going on with Devour and other parts of the build, you should have infinite Vortex Grenades that you can just spam around and do a lot of damage with. And looking at some of the fragments to make that happen, I have Ruin to increase the size and damage of shattering a stasis crystal or frozen target. And we have Balance to help get our grenade back by rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage. Then I have Dominance to make our void grenades, the Vortex Grenade, weaken. Then I have Command. When we freeze a target, it'll reload our equipped weapons and increase ability, aim assist, and airborne effectiveness. And along with that, we will create stasis shards. And the last one will be Courage. Once our stasis turret freezes things or slows them, our Vortex Grenade and our melee ability will do more damage. So like I said, I'm not quite sure if that's going to be like the Warlock build I stick with. There's nothing that really stands out to me currently. Hopefully it feels better once we have our hands on it. But I'm definitely looking forward to playing the Hunter and Titan build showed off in this video. I think I'm going to really like the Titan one, and the Hunter one's just going to be OP. I think everyone knows that. So yeah, those are my 3 prismatic builds, and the ones I'll be starting with in the final shape. Let me know what build you're most excited for down below. Like usual, thanks for watching. Catch us next time.